Hello and welcome back to CinemaBurger, where I bring you movie reviews from a different perspective. Today we're here to talk about the newest Pixar movie, Soul, starring Jamie Foxx, Felicia Rashad, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, and Angela Bassett. Now, Soul was originally supposed to be released in theaters, but due to the pandemic, it was released on Christmas Day on Disney Plus for no extra charge. So let's talk about the newest Pixar movie. Jamie Foxx plays Joe, who is a part-time jazz teacher at a school and has aspirations of becoming a famous jazz musician, like his father before him. Now, he's been feeling uninspired lately at his work, and he sees that some of the children in his class aren't as interested in playing also, when later on he gets a gig or a possible audition for a gig at a jazz club. So when he's getting ready and on the way there, he falls down a manhole and he wakes up in a strange place, but he's not quite himself. Warning, there will be spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen Soul yet, maybe wait till afterwards to watch this review. So Joe wakes up in what is known as like the Soul World. He looks like a little blue version of himself, but without a body and legs. And he's on this escalator or platform going to what looks like the Great Beyond. It's a big light in the sky. Now he falls off, goes to a different area where he's shown other souls, and it shows like new souls being born, how your personality like gets created and your traits, and going into a human body once you're born. Now they talk about heaven and hell, which is very mature for a kids movie, but definitely I like that they took that chance. This kind of feels like a spiritual successor to Inside Out in a way, where it gets abstract and very meta, but I like that because it's not afraid to present kids or even adults with these questions and feelings. Well, of course, Joe wants to get back to his body, so he tries to jump back to Earth many times. He gets told by these counselors, they look like outlines of things. Like they don't really have a form, they're like these creatures or something, but they have outlines. And some of them are voiced by Richard Ayoade, Alice Braga, and Wes Studi, and they're all very subtle and weird and funny. And some souls become like counselors for other souls for like before they're born. And there's one voiced by Tina Fey. Their name is 22, and she's had mentors over thousands of years, and she doesn't want to be alive. She likes living her own space. And the point is to get her to want to go to Earth and be in a body. Now, as an animated movie or even just a kids movie in general, Soul is probably one of the most relatable movies that I've seen in a long time. Especially, it deals with things that we're all thinking about. And also, this movie takes place in New York City, and it's some of the most photorealistic looking shots and animation I've ever seen. It's amazing looking. Like, they got the look of the subways and the streets like spot on, and it's nice to look at. Now, in some sort of mishap, Joe and 22 accidentally end up back on Earth, but 22 ends up in Joe's body, and Joe ends up in a cat in a hospital. It's like a therapy cat. So now they're just trying to get their bodies back to normal, and throughout this journey, Joe and 22 both learn lessons about life and living, and a really good message, like maybe something you've dreamed about isn't all it's cracked up to be, and just the journey and living life should be good enough, I guess, or can be good enough, and that's really relatable, and it hits close to home. Now, some of the plot itself feels a little underdeveloped, though. Let's get into some criticisms. Because by the end, Joe realizes, oh, I found my passion again. It can be for teaching and stuff, but that felt a little underdeveloped. Oh yeah, there's another character named like Moonshine. He is like a sign twirler on the street, but he also, they explain like when you're passionate about something or in the zone, you walk like the spiritual world. So that's a way that Joe can get in and out of his body sometimes. And it's interesting how they talk about that as well. And Joe's soul being put in a cat brings up an interesting question, like, do cats have souls? Because otherwise, like, was the cat, like, yeah, the cat was alive, but, like, what more than that is the cat? Like, does it have a soul? Does it have all these thoughts and feelings? The movie doesn't get into that, but it brings up those questions. And but back to some other, like, good stuff, just the look of people in this movie, like they look like human beings. And I've read other places, like this movie actually has African Americans looking like African Americans. They do go to a barbershop in New York City, and it looks very real. But in general, this is one of the better Pixar movies recently that is an original story, because some of the other original Pixar movies recently haven't been that great, or just kind of mediocre at most. And I'm including The Good Dinosaur and Onward. But this one definitely brings up more thoughts and questions that everyone thinks about all the time, I think. And I'm glad that they made such a movie that has such a relatable plot that makes you think about your own life, maybe. So what would I give Soul? I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 burgers, because watching it, you really just get the look of the city and you feel all these things that people think about and what the characters go through. And it's one of the better ones. I highly recommend it. Like I said, some aspects of the plot development feel a little underdeveloped, but it's not that noticeable. It's on Disney Plus right now. It's not one of those premiere access movies like Mulan was, so it's available as long as you have the subscription. And yeah, I didn't get too much into spoilers, thankfully, but to get the full details, definitely watch the movie. Alright, so soon we'll be back with the Wonder Woman 1984 review, so stay tuned for that. Alright, I'm Scott Berger, and I'll see you next time.